Hello, Marketing 123. This is my Assignment B video. Believe it or not, the content of this assignment is actually something that I was hoping I was going to be able to do. A couple of chapters ago, we went over the concepts of prospecting, maintaining customer bases, finding new customer bases, all these different things. And I immediately thought of General Motors as I was reading through that chapter. So this is kind of a way for me to reach back and do the assignment that I wish I would have been able to do. So let's get into it. General Motors back in 1999 had a U.S. market share of 28%. Fast forward to 2019 and they only hold 17%. So the question is, what went wrong? Well, believe it or not, I'm actually really into cars, and I have studied this phenomenon quite extensively, so this is something I feel I'm fairly well educated on, and I can't wait to get some of my thoughts out here. So one of the things that our text preaches over and over is how keeping existing customers satisfied is oftentimes cheaper and more efficient than trying to find new prospects. While it's almost always more beneficial to seek new customers, it shouldn't be at the expense of existing loyal customers. They must also listen to what the customer wants. As a car enthusiast, I've studied trends in the industry at large. It should be known before we get into all this that I do hold a high bias toward high performance and sport models. For myself, the quicker, faster, flashier, and unique, the better. Of all automaker brands of the past, Chevrolet, Dodge, and Ford offered some of the best of the previously mentioned criteria at an affordable price. When it comes down to facts, America is known for these types of cars. During the 80s, a dramatic turn arose. Cars needed to be more fuel efficient, safer, and smaller. In Japan, that formula had already been perfected. As a result of demand, these new vehicles began to establish quite a large foothold in the U.S. American automakers quickly began to copy this formula, but with greatly disappointing results. Not only did they have a very hard time adapting to this new model, they altered their existing cars that Americans loved to the point of being far from the tree they fell from. Gone were the days of the traditional hot rods of the 60s and 70s. And many people believe that the era of enthusiast models was dying. But was it? Not quite. Americans still wanted their fast, cool, flashy vehicles. The Japanese automakers then began to produce awesome vehicles such as the Nissan Skyline and Toyota Supra. Now they had captured the one thing that American automakers were known for and stole it right from underneath of them. So now they're doing both things right. They're producing vehicles that are smaller, safer, more fuel efficient, as well as being faster, cooler, and flashier. Not good for the big three. Speaking of those big three, they all responded to this very differently over the years. GM has pretty much retained their performance offerings, but they trim them away every year in favor of mundane models. Dodge, on the other hand, has taken the complete opposite approach, killing many of their non-performance models in favor of high-performance cars with aggressive classic American styling. Think Challenger, Charger. They've reached back to the classic muscle car enthusiasts of the past and recaptured a market thought to be dead by many. Ford has retained a balance between the two approaches and has accordingly balanced, albeit not impressive, growth report for the past 20 years. And just to put this in perspective, Dodge's 1999 market share was around 15% and has grown to 2020 to be around 23%. So it's very clear that they have captured a new market. And if it's not been the market that competed with most of the Japanese brands such as Subaru, Nissan, Toyota, who did they capture? Well, they captured the performance market that GM and Ford used to, for the most part, dominate. Now, getting back to GM specifically, They've transitioned into a company that does kind of seek to emulate Toyota and Subaru, as I mentioned. From 1958 to 2010, almost every model was available with the famous SS package, two of which I own. Fast forward to present, and the only car that wears the badge is the Camaro SS. Similarly, the cheapest enthusiast car that they manufacture starts around $40,000, whereas only a decade ago they had two different entry-level performance models that were around $25,000 fully loaded. While they do still hold performance models in their portfolio, they're now much too expensive for the average Joe. In the past, these flagship versions of each model were what got people in the lots to browse in the first place. Now, the showrooms are dominated by mundane vehicles that compare to most Japanese models, but fall very short in terms of value. And to top it off, most of their core performance customers, as I mentioned, have left in favor of Dodge. Now, one of the key components of our book, again, harking back to the beginning of this assignment, is listening to the customer. I truly believe that GM has greatly stopped listening to the wants of its core customers, especially the fan base. If I was in their shoes, I would invest in the production of models that exemplify the classic American-spirited automobile. Trying to compete with their rivals at their own games has not been a winning model so far. So again, we have to listen to what people want. It's very obvious what people are asking for of especially the Chevrolet brand, which of course is a component of General Motors. People want the models they used to have back. Bring them back. If you don't bring them back, another company such as Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, I believe, which owns Dodge in North America, is going to dominate that market. It's very clear that they're already on equal footing. If Chevrolet continues to do what they're doing and not offering what they're known for to their existing customers, I genuinely don't feel very safe about their future. I'm actually invested in the company right now, and I don't really like the direction that they've gone, especially the last 5 years. It's very difficult for them to compete with the Japanese market a lot due to labor laws and things of that nature. And they're also having a hard time competing in the performance market just out of sheer unwillingness. So, forgive me for being a little blunt, but if they did what is very obvious that they need to do and start producing more interesting vehicles as they used to, I believe people would gravitate more back toward the brand, and they may end up having a much higher growth report in the next 10 years. So anyway, that is the end of my assignment. I hope you've enjoyed. There's actually a classmate that I have in this particular class, Samuel. I know you'll probably want to comment on this and maybe have some discussion. You're also a car guy. So anyway, I look forward to hearing what all of your thoughts are, and I will see you in the next assignment. Bye for now.